everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is Liza Cassidy of Project Swim Forward, a premier platform for entrepreneurs. This is a site dedicated to the people that have ideas who maybe cannot get on Shark Tank or be funded by banks, but have an invention, have a project, have an idea, and want to take it to the next level and are stuck. Project Swim Forward is a platform that welcomes every person who has an invention to come and be heard and share ideas with the intent of getting support, getting your startup going, and eventually, yes, having success. That being said, today we are going to talk about, or I'm going to be talking about something that's a piece of that pie. The idea, the business, the activity is very important. Reaching out for help is important, that's a big step. But it's something else that is very worthwhile is knowing yourself and bringing your experiences that have been successful and reflecting on them and incorporating them and assimilating them into your idea, your business, your invention. Before we go forward, always make sure that you copyright and protect your idea. I explained how to do that last week. I'll go over that again at the end. There are many ways to do it, but for today, I just want to talk about that idea of incorporating your experience of where you've had success and happiness and how to bring that to your business venture. And what I mean by that is I was reflecting on a time where I had been at a Christmas party with educators, people who work in schools. I work in a school, I'm a school counselor. And one of the teachers or supervisors, someone came up to me and said, "Hey, do you know about this community project with the rocks?" And they started talking to me about the rocks, and had no idea what she was talking about. But she gave me some background information. They do this, I believe, all over the country. They didn't do it in the community that I worked in. And basically what it is a way to connect with your community in a positive, inexpensive way. And it's rock decorating. You decorate rocks and you kind of hide them around schools, businesses, parks, fields, anywhere that you want, and hoping that somebody will find them. So you decorate your rocks, this is what she's telling me, and then you make a Facebook page. And on the rocks that you make, you put hashtag where you're from. And then people, when they find the rocks, they look you up on Facebook, they take a picture of the rock so the person knows that it's been found, and then they have the choice to either keep the rock if it speaks to them and they really like it, or you can move the rock to another area, or you can make a rock and exchange it. Take the rock and put a rock back, or you can leave the rock there. But the point is, you take a picture, and it's kind of cool if you find one, which I found out. But again, I really had no idea what she was talking about. Like I said, I'm a school counselor, I'm not the art teacher. And at the time I was working at our high school. So fast forward a couple months, and in my job that I love, I work with some incredible high school students, and usually if they're in my realm, they're having issues in some area, and I'm pretty laid back. So we just chat and form groups, and you know, I help them resolve their problems, and most of the time they do. And I really get bonded with some of the students. They're just people that I see all the time, and my office is open door policy, yada, yada, yada. So I was seeing a particular group a lot, and you know, we were talking, and then I remembered about that rocks. And I said, you know what? I said, we're gonna do the rock project. And not being an artist, I didn't have any supplies. So like, Miss Cassidy, what do you mean by that? Well, what rock project? I said, don't worry about it. It's gonna get done, it's gonna be fun. We're doing it. So I went and I bought river rocks. I had paint, nail polish, markers already in my office. So I had this group of 2 or 3, I think it was usually girls at first, who would come into my office and they were, when are we gonna start the rock project? When are we gonna start the rock project? And I was like, all right, we're gonna start it tomorrow. So I figured out how to make the Facebook page. And we got our rocks out, and I said, just, you know, put something positive. And then I explained it to them. I said, you decorate these rocks, I'm going to put them out in the community, and it's going to be fun, because the community where my friend knew of the project had like 10,000 likes or followers, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of people. So we would make our rocks, and I started to, on my break, take them in the community. I'll never forget, I took them to, down the street is a Wawa, and I started putting the rocks in the parking lot, and a Wawa is a convenience store in New Jersey with a gas station. And I noticed in the corner of my eye, the gas station attendants kind of looking at me suspiciously, like, what is she doing? Why is she placing things around the store? It was outside. And they approached me, of course, and said, you know, you can't do that. They had no idea what I was doing. They didn't know about Project Rocks. And I was like, okay. So I took my rocks elsewhere, around the school, more in areas not around businesses at first. So we were making our rocks. It's very relaxing to do, painting rocks, identifying them as our district, Pemberton, hashtag Pemberton Rocks. It's up there now. And this is all free. This is just something nice to do for the community. So this went on for months. We got no response on the Facebook page. And I was a little disappointed because the other community had 10,000, but again, they had the art teacher. And to be honest with you, the students and myself were not making the most elaborate rocks, which you don't have to. You do what you can. So as we're doing this and not being very successful, I was just like thinking to myself, one thing we need is to find somebody with some real ability, so, a rock that's going to stand out. I was thinking to myself, and I'm like, it's not going to be in this group. But in the meantime, I had some fun with the idea, and me and another staff member there, she loved the idea. Of course, adults did. And so to have fun with the idea, we would both like to travel, and so we would take our rocks and we'd put them wherever we were vacationing or out of state, wherever we were. So I had rocks over in DC. I think I took some rocks to Florida. She took some rocks to Maryland, New York City, Philly. Our rocks were all over the place. Yet our site was not successful, but we're like, we're just gonna have fun with this. I actually took a rock, the rock star, Pink, one of my favorite artists, was in Atlantic City, which I go to a lot. I like to stay at the Hotel the Brigada. And one summer, me and my husband went to see Pink, and I brought one of my Pemberton rocks with me. I was going to put it in AC, and as I was at the Brigada, Pink, as we were going to the boardwalk, Pink and her entourage were going in. We were coming out, and so I actually saw her pretty up close and her bodyguard. And I just remember waving at her and saying, Pink, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, I have a rock for you. And I just remember the bodyguard just looking at me like, do not approach Pink like that, ma'am. Just, you know, go on your way. Which I did. And I did put the rock somewhere on the beaches of Atlantic City. But that's just a side story. And I just did not give up on this rock idea, because I knew in the next town over, there were thousands of people participating. So one day, someone in the community, or I don't think it was a student, did find our site. No, somebody found our site and started posting pictures of these rocks like that were so professional and beautiful and stood out. And from that day on, it really started to build. So as I still persevered, I still spread the rocks out, went back to that Wawa, because now that it was spreading the word about the rock project, and you could find us on Facebook, and people were taking pictures, and the kids were still making rocks, I was still buying rocks, and we were still talking about it. But then the community found the page. So now everybody in the community is leaving rocks all over the place. Like I said, I went back to that Wawa, and I actually found a rock in the deli case at the Wawa, and I took it. I was like, huh, you know, back in the spring, I thought they were going to call the police. But my point is, and our page did grow. I had left the high school, and when I left, the community still was involved with it. We never had the success of the other school districts. But again, I wasn't the art teacher, and I kind of got sidetracked with another part of my job. I worked at a different school. But I can only describe the feeling of sticking with that idea, which I loved, being unsuccessful, but then having fun with it, not, oh, forget it, we're not doing it. I liked it, so we stuck with it. The kids were making their rocks. We had the Facebook page, which is still up. And I probably, if I was at the high school and could put some more attention to it, we could get another wave of viewers through the schools. Along the way, I also had the naysayers. As I worked at the high school, and this is another kind of a point, not letting people, when you know you're on the right path, you're on the right frequency, you're on the right wave, and you have people who are always going to be negative for whatever reason. It might be intentional, it might not be intentional, but as I was working at the high school, I was helping out at our 6th grade school. And I was helping out with a little population of students in the business that we call our behavioral students, our emotionally disturbed students, and they're my people, love them. And the teacher was having a really hard time with this particular class this year. So they asked if I could come and help, which I was glad to do it. And I would have different activities for them to do because they was mostly boys and they were hands-on. And I told the principal, I said, hey, I'm going to do the rock project over here. And it was like crickets. Rock project, pardon, rock project, Miss Stemmer? What are you talking about? And I said, well, I explained what the project was, and I had a rapport with those students, and they didn't want me to do it. And guess what? I did it not only once, but I did it like several times with these kids. And they loved it. They're hands-on. They made the rocks. I told them where I was going to put the rocks. And it was a cool thing. But if I would have listened to the principal, you know, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to participate. And that would have been, you know, not the worst thing in the world, but it was fun. So my point is perseverance. Do what your gut tells you to do sometimes. Be respectful, but be firm in your beliefs, and yeah, keep coming back to this channel. We are going to get some businesses off the ground. I am so happy to be here, and I know that was a pretty long story, and I hope you got something out of it, because it was something that I am bringing to my idea now for this channel, and I'm going to swim forward and be supportive and find some ideas and just go with it and have fun. And if you stick with it, I guarantee you, you will have success. Have a great evening. Thanks.